Hey guys, it's Lydia here from Beyond My Life Ministries, and right now I'm sitting with the founder of Beyond My Life Ministries, Rachel Everhart.
Hey guys, how are you?
Today we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the safety issues with abuse and how to recognize the warning signs that an abuser is giving out. And before we start with that, Rachel, would you actually just go ahead real quickly through some of the what the warning signs are?
Yeah, I actually got a phone call from someone, a friend I'll call Lisa, the other day, and she was letting me know some different things that was going on with a friend of hers. And it really kind of set the stage for just trying to get some education out there of what the warning signs are. Because I know I was a victim of domestic abuse, and any of you that know me somewhat know my story. But at the very end, before I almost died, I didn't even know the warning signs. Nobody had told me, and when I kind of stepped back in my own life and looked, there was lots of warning signs there that, Lydia, something was really, really bad going to happen. And so when my friend Lisa had asked the other day about these things, it kind of led me on a search again to find out what those warning signs are. So some of them, and this is actually taken from a website, makeitOurbusiness.com. Don't want you to think that this is my stuff. And they found that the most common reasons why domestic violence ended in death were because of these things that evidently they had found in all the cases of homicide where a victim had died. All of these were present. So I think it's very serious, and it's something that everybody should know because you kind of have to determine if this is you or if it's not you, and you kind of have to get educated on the steps in order to get out. So the things that they list are the victim was separated from the person who killed her, or she was getting ready to separate from him. Now, I'll say her because a lot of times victims are women, but do know that that is interchangeable because it does happen both ways. So the number one was the victim was separated from the person who killed her, or she was getting ready to separate from him. So just remember that. Sometimes people think, well, I just left, so I'm safe, and sometimes that's when the abuser gets really, really angry that they don't have control anymore. So they will go and try to kill you, or they will kill you, or you may be threatening, hey, I'm going to leave, but you really have to watch doing that, even though sometimes that's what we want to do. But that's really probably not the best thing that you could do.
So you need to have like an exit situation or where
You
you can
do.
go, a
You
plan,
do.
exit plan.
An exit plan is
Mhm.
so very important. It is so very
Mhm.
important. And if you guys don't have one, you need to get educated and get an exit plan because it sounds silly and so many people think that's never going to happen to me. But I was one of those where it almost did happen to me, and I found myself really lying flat on my back, not having an exit plan and not knowing the next steps because I was not prepared. So that's a lot of the reasons why I want to start and to have started this ministry is to help people in the gaps that I had gone through. Number two was the couple had a history of domestic violence. Sounds simple enough, but you kind of have to acknowledge in your own life, are you one of those? Do you have domestic violence in your situation? If you don't know, find out. The level of violence had been increasing. Abusers typically they don't stay the same. They will get worse. The threats will get worse. In my situation, the threats to kill me got much worse toward the very end. Um, it escalated. So from what I learned about abusers, they if you get a little bit stronger, they're going to come over the top of you and get even more stronger with their threats or with pushing or shoving or suffocating or whatever. The threats get worse and the violence does get worse.
Can you explain what you mean by getting stronger? Maybe like progress?
Yeah,
or...
progress in your own heart. And a lot of times we as victims have such poor self-esteem. So the Lord was working with me on self-esteem issues and really being positive in my own heart. So I found in my own life, the stronger I got with my own self-esteem, the less things were hurting me, the worse things actually got for me because the abuser didn't like that I was getting stronger on my inside. It's like they want you beat down. That's how they survive.
The more the abuse
Yes, the
escalates.
happier you are, the less you need them, the more the abuse escalates because they want you to need them. So, yeah, very good question. Hold on, it's lost my list.
So if you're a relative or just a friend of someone that you think they might be in an abusive relationship and you know that they're about to separate from that relationship, you might want to ask them, hey, do you have, a safe place to go or talking to a counselor yet about that scenario?
Yes, and if you need help with any of that, Beyond My Life Ministries does offer life coaching, and we do offer information on the website as well, and helping you find the best place,
Yes.
considering your situation, if you don't know where to get help. So, number 4 on this list is the abuser has shown signs of obsessive behavior, including stalking the victim. Sometimes we don't really know that we're being stalked, but I know my abuser, he was calling me all the time and hanging up on me at work in places that I couldn't say a word because I had other people around. He knew where I was going sometimes where he wasn't, I had not said anything, not that I was trying to hide it from him, but he knew where I was. So or he had somebody else following me. And then other things, social media is just so, it's just so everywhere anymore that a lot of people get stalked on social media, and you may not realize it, but even in my own life, the abuser a lot of times will tell me what I've posted on Facebook, still to this day sometimes. So those are all forms of being stalked. Those are all forms of, you just really have to watch what you put out there because you don't really want them to know what your patterns are. It's very dangerous to be in that situation.
So those apps, especially Facebook apps that say I'm here right now.
Yes.
So if you're if you're getting out of an abusive relationship, maybe just second think, hey, do I want to put out the time and place of my location?
Yeah. Or when you're gone. I see people put the I'm on vacation. Don't do that. If you want to do it when you get back, not when you're leaving. And then also there's actually cheap apps that you can get that they will know where you are because the GPS on your phone is on. Smartphones now, and that's very serious because they can track you online just by using your phone number, and that you have your GPS on top of your phone, and they can know where you are. So it's very important that you watch
maybe
all of those
disable
things.
your GPS settings
Yes.
sometimes. So
Yes.
be aware of that.
Be aware of that. Be very aware of that. The next one, the person who killed their spouse was depressed. A lot of times the abusers are either threatening to kill you or they're threatening to kill themselves. They may be threatening to kill the children. In my situation, he was very depressed. For months, he had talked about killing himself, had a gun in the house, and then it kind of flipped from him killing himself to now all these threats came of him wanting to kill me and being very verbal about it. So you really have to watch. I've heard so many people say, oh, he'd never do it. That's what we all think. But there's some of those that they do die. I mean, it's very important that you know your own warning signs of where you are and that you acknowledge it. You can have everybody in the whole world tell you, hey, this is you, but until you actually acknowledge it within your own self, you're very much in danger, and it's a very much of a threat, not only you, but the children as well. The last thing that they have on this list is in the past, the abuser had threatened to kill the victim. So we kind of already talked about that. But in my situation, there again, this is not a catch-all. Everybody's situation is different. But in my situation, the death threats probably lasted for 6 months, and they got worse. So in the beginning, it was just kind of, every couple days, maybe once a week. And then it got to where it was probably 3, 4, 5 times a day, graphically of how he wanted to kill me, how he should have killed me, how he wanted, he was thinking about killing me, and it was all about how he just didn't want me there anymore. And so those didn't really trigger in me because I, like a lot of other people, well, he's not going to do it because he's been threatening me for a long time. But he could have done it. He almost did it with me. And it's just the situation that I was in by the grace of God that I'm still alive today, or I don't think that I would be here if it wasn't for the Lord. So just prepare yourself and watch what you're doing. And looks like our time is almost up. So, but just be very, very, very careful. Don't ever just pass it off of as he won't do something. He was joking,
or it's just in the heat of the argument.
Yeah.
Take death threats seriously.
Take them very seriously.
Yes.
And if you have guns in your house, I've heard this, that wasn't on the list, but that's another, I remember hearing another thing that they used to say of if there's guns in the house and they're threatening you, you're in a lot of danger because it just takes one instance of, I don't care, I'm going to kill her, in order for it to happen. And so you just really, really be safe. There's systems set up out there to protect you. So just utilize those systems and just acknowledge that. So, all
So
right.
whether this is you and your relationship, or whether you know someone who maybe their relationship is showing these signs, pay attention. I mean, it's better to pay attention now than to regret it later.
Yeah.
But before we end, though, we're going to pray over everyone watching right now. So, Lord, thank you so much for the people watching, Lord, that this has caught their attention, Jesus. And I just ask, I pray a prayer of protection around them, the friends and loved ones, Jesus. Lord, give them the knowledge and understanding, Lord. And also, Lord, we just pray that if they know someone that is possibly an abuser or is going through some of these anger or depression issues, and Lord, I just ask that you help them, Jesus, and help them, turn them to knowing other people, Lord. Protect the people and their families and their lives, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. All right. All right. All
All right,
right, guys.
guys.
Thank you.
Contact beyondmylife.org if you have any questions. Thanks a bunch.
All
Bye-bye.
right.